They're big, they're hungry, and they're teeming in waterways leading to the Great Lakes. Meet invasive carp. These fish appear in many viral videos, leaping out of the water when disturbed by boat motors and even smacking boaters in the face. But that's not the only reason they're unwanted neighbors. If invasive carp reach the Great Lakes, they could dramatically impact the region's ecosystem. So scientists, environmental managers, and the public are working together to stop them in their tracks. Invasive carp are actually 4 separate species of fish: bighead carp, silver carp, grass carp, and black carp. In their native ranges throughout Asia, these carp species are valuable food fish. In North America, they weren't always seen as an ecological menace. In fact, they were deliberately introduced to the southern US in the 1960s and 70s to help control pests and algae in aquaculture projects and sewage treatment lagoons. Bighead and silver carp feed on algae and plankton, keeping water clear. Grass carp feed on plants growing in shallow waters, including aquatic weeds. And black carp eat mollusks and snails, which can carry parasites that infect farmed fish. While each species performed these jobs well in captivity, problems began when they escaped into the wild. Flooding and accidental releases allowed these large, persistent fish to enter the Mississippi River system. The same diets that made them so useful in aquaculture made them a serious problem in the rivers and lakes they reached. The carp consumed huge quantities of food, disturbed plants, and dramatically altered the food chain. Their populations grew rapidly, and invasive carp can now be found in 44 US states and some waterways that feed into the Great Lakes. Scientists and stakeholders worry that invasive carp will significantly disrupt Great Lakes ecosystems if these fish establish populations in the region. Researchers are hard at work developing and refining strategies for keeping invasive carp out of the Great Lakes, and that means blocking their path. Many of the waterways leading into and out of the Great Lakes are important shipping channels. They can't just be shut down to stop the spread of invasive species. At potential entry points like the Chicago Sanitary and Ship Canal, the Brandon Road Lock and Dam, and the Sandusky River, scientists and engineers are turning to technology for solutions. Electric barriers installed in a river can create a kind of force field that prevents fish from entering while allowing ships to safely pass through. Other innovative solutions include using sound waves, carbon dioxide, and even walls of bubbles to prevent carp from crossing. Even if one or more species of invasive carp makes it through these barriers and into the Great Lakes, there's no guarantee they'll like what they find. They're used to living in rivers, surrounded by plenty of food. But they're also resilient and can adapt to new conditions. Scientists and managers are vigilantly searching for signs that one or more invasive carp species might have already reached the Great Lakes. One technique called environmental DNA searches water samples for traces of genetic material from invasive carp. eDNA can be an early warning that carp are present in a waterway, even if a fish hasn't been caught yet. Researchers are also using computer models to identify potential carp habitats around the Great Lakes. That way, natural resource managers know where to focus their efforts to detect and prevent these unwanted fish. In places where invasive carp are already thriving, hunters, anglers, chefs, and business owners are finding creative ways to use the fish. They host fishing tournaments and cooking contests, and use carp to make everything from pet food to fertilizer. These out-of-the-box solutions are making the best of a bad situation, but we can't harvest our way out of trouble. In cases like these, an ounce of prevention is worth many, many tons of cure. In some parts of the US, invasive carp are probably here to stay. But states, agencies, and groups like the Invasive Carp Regional Coordinating Committee can work together to help keep them from setting up shop in the Great Lakes. With careful vigilance, strategic solutions, and plenty of cooperation, hopefully we can ensure that the Great Lakes remain the star of the show, not invasive carp.